Hello and welcome back to Lightmatter. We left off before this behemoth in front of us, a 16-minute devlog, so I guess we'll just get into it, and this is probably gonna take the majority of this episode, I would imagine. Let's get to it. Beamerang.
Now that Ellen is the first in this character talking this level, I think we should we can take a moment to talk about directing. Well, all Ellen's dialogue was recorded as the last after the majority of David's dialogue was recorded, and
not even recorded, also written after.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and the way that these have the way that we've recorded Ellen's voice or Natalie's voice and David's voice are different.
Yeah.
Natalie lives in the U.S. and we live in Denmark, so it's natural that we should communicate. We can't be in the studio with her, but she has a home studio, and we simply communicated through emails, and I think that actually went surprisingly well.
It's a good thing that this wasn't your first task as your first experience as an instructor director. Sorry.
Yeah.
And to do this instructing.
Yes.
Because it's a whole new door to a whole new universe. This thing, if you haven't done it before.
Yeah. Directing is a skill in itself, of course, and it was only
Pat yourselves on the back a little more. Ho ho.
Because we had been in the studio with David so much that I was actually able to direct Natalie on my own. Because in the studio we had Thomas Hovald, who is our script advisor or supervisor, but also the VO director.
Exactly.
We have a bit of history with him.
Yeah, back at university, half of us have had him as our teacher, and how long was it? About 1 year into production or so, 2 years into production, we knew that he was also a screenwriter, etc. In his spare time as well, and we didn't ask him about help with our story because we were kind of stuck at that point, going too many directions at once, and at the same time not going any direction.
Exactly.
And he came in and really just he didn't really
Come on, man.
add anything to the story, but he worked with us.
Yeah, he gave us the tools we needed.
Exactly, and straightened out. So we kept it as our own story, and he was just managing us, so we could see what we needed to do.
Yeah, the first thing he did was list all of your puzzles on the board and decide where are they in your story, and try to, because the story was actually made at that point, but it wasn't fully structured and it wasn't written, and we have been used to approaching new skills like we approach puzzles. It's just try jamming something out.
Yeah.
Just try experimenting. Just jump in, hands on, fail faster. But with screenwriting or script writing, we needed something a bit different, because that's what we had done. We just jumped into certain levels and then written stuff you could talk about in those levels with this overarching story in mind. But the problem was that what we really needed was to get a complete overview and just write the whole script. And we had considered it, but we thought no, because we know how puzzles work. You take one step at a time and you jam it out.
Yes, exactly.
But Thomas really convinced us you need to write the entire script.
We had so many loose ends and so many of our own ideas of where each thing should go, and we just really needed to have this common overview and common idea of where this was going, and this was what Thomas convinced us about and gave us the tools to do so with.
Yeah, because we initially thought that we need to develop the character Virgil and need to play around with him basically before we can, because we were afraid it's going to be too much to tackle at once, but it just gives so much overview to write the entire script.
Especially since we had the most of the structure in the game done at that point.
Yes. Anyway, the script went through several iterations, a lot of iterations from then on, and parallel to that, he started looking for a voice actor because we decided that Thomas. We decided at that point he should be the VO director.
Yeah.
Because we knew that it was another skill that we had to learn, and we just didn't have the resources for that.
We like
or time.
If we went into the studio like knowing nothing and tried to like just do this, because what we've been told is like every moment you are in the sound studio, recording studio, like counts.
Yeah.
So you just need to go.
Yeah, because we're renting the studio, we're paying David.
Yeah. And the studio is often booked like you start the moment your time is available. You just rush in, get the others out.
Yeah.
And then at the same point, like when your time is done, like there's no leeway. Like it ends at that time, even though you are like mid-sentence of something.
Yeah.
So you really need to be as efficient as possible. Otherwise, you need to go back and do it again. So it can actually be you guys save money by having a professional VO director.
Yeah. Also because he knows which direction notes he should give in an efficient way.
Yes.
And that's The cool thing here is that Thomas he had worked with David before.
Oh, such a bonus.
Yeah. They have worked together on one of the earlier Hitman games.
Yeah, at IO Interactive.
At IO
Interesting.
Interactive, where Thomas was the director. So that was already an advantage. They already had a way of working in like a language with each other.
Yes.
They could take a lot of
They
shortcuts.
had some history together, and they could communicate in a way that was just efficient, and they had a mutual respect for each other working.
Yeah.
So it just went so smooth.
Yeah.
And David is just a workhorse, basically.
Yeah.
That was it was been amazing to be a part of.
Yeah, and I mean, we had some other. Thomas, he had like he reached out to a couple of voice actors, and in the beginning when we were auditioning, and when we heard David's voice, it just some things clicked because he really made a convincing CEO.
Yeah, and it was quite funny because it was actually like when you just get those test specs and listen to them bare.
Yeah,
they sound so different than when you edit it into a video of the place where we wanted it to be in the game, and then slap that voice sample over it. It was kind of mind blowing. Yeah,
I can really recommend when choosing a voice actor that you when you take your auditions, make sure to put them in the game and play them in the game, because it just you'll be able to judge it much better. Make a better decision.
It's the holistic experience,
exactly,
and you get from that. That was a defining moment.
Yep, and so we went with David, and like there's a lot of lessons we learned in the studio,
especially the first times.
Yes,
and we've been lucky enough to have been able to do several sessions with David. Mm-hmm. So the direction we gave in the first session or the first two sessions, which were wrong, because when we then had the sound edited and put into the game, we could feel like, okay, he is far too angry here than what he should be,
or too happy,
whatever. And then we had an opportunity to re-record this again, and that has been such a lifesaver for us.
There's also a whole bunch of timing issues. Like oftentimes we didn't have the length for what he actually had to say in a level. Because
we really wanted it.
The player could move through it too quickly. And,
we really tried to make so that you, in some way, can't trigger a VO over another VO. Mm. Of course, we haven't been able to avoid it 100%.
Yeah.
But like we've done our best with it, and we have also modified some levels to like try to accommodate the speeches when they are quite long.
Yeah, but also like there's some cases where we just interrupt the previous VO.
Yeah.
Where we're forced to do that because the player has to listen to something he's reacting on right now. But for the most part, if the player is already listening to Virgil talking and then he triggers a new VO, then it will come in like a queue system.
Yeah.
Where we have some delay between them, so it feels a bit more natural.
Yeah, for example, if you find logs at a time where Virgil is already talking, like Virgil will finish that line and then have a short break and then say, "Oh, you found logs."
Yeah, that's a bit of an exception.
I've had that happen many times, and it's kind of confusing when you like leave that place because he's still talking for a while, and then you're not even anywhere near Lux when he starts talking. I didn't even know he did at first. I thought it was just cancelled out.
Because it is a bit of a, like, if you find Lux, that is an achievement in itself.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that the player listens to it, although it is a bit delayed. You know, you need the reward for finding him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But regarding like the actual directing, I think the thing that I took on from seeing Thomas Hovald work is that when you give direction notes, you have to make sure to put the actor in a situation instead of giving like this feelings.
Yeah, so
like, not saying like
do this angry or do this like
instead of saying you have to say it whispering. Then maybe say, imagine you're trying to tell a secret to a friend, but you're afraid who else might be listening. Putting people in situations.
Yes.
We used that afterwards on Natalie, and it went pretty well. I think also in the directing sessions, it was really nice to feel that I could actually start giving directing notes next to Thomas.
Exactly, and it was also like when we started recording the Ellen character, we also kind of knew what we wanted. Like it was we were at a place in our development where things were pretty set in stone, and we knew what we wanted from this character, which made it also a lot easier then, because when we started recording Virgil, like we were like looking back, we were all over the place. Of course we were, but we wanted so many different things, and we were so unsure of so many things, and it was good that we didn't do it all like simultaneous.
Yeah. I even think like the first session might even have been a bit too long. Like it was 5 hours. I think we didn't know how much time, how many resources we would actually have in the studio. So we took as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Because each time you have to set everything up, it just there's a lot of
there's a lot of people's calendars that needs to synchronize. Yeah. And these are busy people.
Yeah, but I think like for future work, or what you would say, like a recommendation is that the first session, try to make it semi-short so you actually have time to reflect and test out the dialogue.
Yeah, because in the beginning, like Thomas was like, hey, you need a lot of different takes for each session, for each line to like see what fits, because you don't know what you want right now. Yeah. So all the takes that were in the first session of 5 hours, which is insanely long, by the way, had 5 different takes that basically all worked, but was in different moods. Yeah, and that actually meant that every line took a really long time to do, and it's not a bad thing. But what we, as you say, should have done was to have a shorter session and do this again, but with fewer takes. Yeah. So when we went into the next session, we would be like. We would know what we wanted much earlier on, and thereby save time in the studio.
Yeah, exactly.
We also have the third voice actor, the announcer voice in the beginning of the game. Yeah. How was it we did that?
Yeah, well, there's a website called Fiverr where you just contact, like find a voice actor and give him the lines, and then within a really short time he'll record it. Like it's a really quick way to get the process
Yeah.
going. And that also went super smooth.
Yes.
But I also think it was smooth because the voice was simpler. Like it wasn't
It was more emotionless.
yeah. It wasn't like a character as such.
But still credit where credit is due to the voice actor. He did a splendid job.
Yeah, definitely. And directing David, I also I had something I wanted to say. Do you have something? I just have to remember I had something.
Yeah. So one of the like when you're in the studio recording, like you want to have the voice actor give a special voice, like, and you build up such of a language with the voice actor going forward. Like the more you work together, and our most used word with David was probably, and David, now do it Sahara dry.
Yeah. we changed that later to accountant dry.
Yes. But the thing is that you get this working, and like the more hours you spend working together on this, like you start off getting synchronized with each other, like with what you want, with just saying one word like that, like people are like, okay, I know exactly what you want now.
Yeah.
And that was it felt really good. Just to like, because it just worked, it all just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. I think maybe that was what I was going to say.
Fair enough.
But we nonetheless, I think we're pretty. We've been talking about directing.
Yeah,
for a while, so.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Good job, Benjamin.
Good job, Philip.
Good job. They did it. Oh my god. Yeah, that was a long one. And for being so long, I don't really have anything to say about that, because there's not really anything to discuss at all. It's just like, they went through their experiences of directing voice actors for the first time. That was 16 minutes of talking about that. Not that that's a bad thing, but like, that's what it is. There's nothing more to it. I think virtually any studio of any kind that hires voice actors of any kind can relate to virtually everything they just said, and I think it's just probably something you just have to experience before you like learn it, and it's not really relevant whatsoever to people like me. So this is kind of a devlog that's more for them, just them sharing the experience of getting voice acting in their game, not so much like telling the player about something that they wouldn't know or would care about in that sense. But yeah, I mean, it was a thing, it was a log. And for being 16 minutes, they didn't like ramble overly long, so good job, I suppose. But there we go. Now we can finally move on. Good lord. And I feel like I wanted to do something before I moved on, but now I forgot that. Yeah, I don't know. So let's just go. Push button. Nope. Oh. I see. Didn't even remember this. Can't see Lux or anything. I didn't realize there was a section like this. I could have kept going. I thought that was like the beginning of the next chamber. And also, yeah, in that 16 minutes, they didn't say a single word about the previous level. It was just unrelated, basically. So, we don't know anything about that. Alright, here we go.
So the purpose of this level is to kind of have a primer to what the player does in the end, which is the whole idea of overloading the crystals, and seeing that actually solves the shadow anomalies, that it brings the shadows back to normal.
Once again, previous log, decent volume. This one, inexplicably, just lower volume. God damn it.
And for a long time, now in the game we have the voice of Ellen, which also like supplements this idea and tells the player that this is the solution. But for a long time, without her, this was the only thing that kind of gave the player the idea that you could solve the shadow problem. And through a lot of playtests, people didn't really get that without Ellen. But besides that, the purpose of this level is also to build some tension. Where this is for the first time where the player really does something that Virgil tells him not to do, and kind of show the more sinister side of Virgil after this level, and kind of have a build up towards the ending.
I don't even remember what happens in this one.
It's kind of like a trust exercise in a way that fails. Where later Virgil isn't able to trust you because you did something he told you not to do. So it's to build some intensity there. And also the final thing is that some of the most difficult puzzles in the game are coming after this level, and we needed like a kind of a break.
They are.
It's
like that weird one with a sort of furnace-looking area that like shifted platforms through to the other side and so on. That one was a nightmare.
For pacing reasons, we have this little event where there's some visuals the player can sit back and relax a bit.
Oh yeah, finally!
But originally,
finally they'll explain this. What does it mean?
Puzzles, kinda, instead of this event. We were kinda earlier in the process of making the game afraid of events, because we were afraid that it would take out too much pacing. Or too much tempo of the game, and we wanted to keep it all puzzle. So we tried making puzzles with 2 mother sources instead of 1 for the light beam photon connectors. And the idea was that once you had 2 mother sources connected to, your array of photon connectors, the beam would expand like quite a lot, and the light source, the light it emits,
nice beads,
obviously also would spread farther. But we had a lot of problems with like showing the effect hit, because it was so instant. Once they connect, they instantly change the size and range of the light. But they kept the same colors, so we had to come up with like a lot of design changes to make it work. We felt like, so we explored the idea of making it into an event instead again, maybe also with the hopes of making it a bit more epic than solving the puzzles. So that's what we went with. First iteration of it had some, not puzzle, kind of puzzle-like event, or parts of it, where you had to open some doors and gates for it to completely connect and overload this event. But we felt it was it didn't really give anything to the thing. I don't remember, was it because Virgil had more, like he had a lot to say, right, before we had Ellen?
Yeah, we cut out a lot of his dialogue for this one. Yeah.
So we also cut down the event to a more compact and straight up version of it, where it was as it is now, where you're just locked in place, and you really see what happens with the mini core that we've made once the models connect.
And for a long time,
you see it, but you don't understand it. I have no idea why this is happening and how it makes sense that I'm not dead. Also, nice colon like dash smiley there.
Didn't actually show that the shadows disappeared. Like the player just wakes up and then the shadows are good again. But it was something that we were really afraid of. Like, are we able to show this properly? Like the shadow reflections dissolving like that.
Oh, I see. That's what they were going for. I didn't get that at all. So what they mean here is that this is like a mini version of the main reactor or main core. And because I overload this one, suddenly the shadows are fine. Like, these are normal shadows, and that's why they don't kill me. So, like, yeah, it blows out all the lights and stuff, and there's shadows everywhere, but because this mini-core is, like, destroyed, things are fine again. Which kind of doesn't make any sense, because the main core is still in effect in the central part of the entire facility. Wouldn't that still be in range of this? Like, it's in the same facility, and the main core is the big, powerful one that reached all the way to the outskirts and, like, entrance of the facility. So, I get now what they were going for, but I don't feel like that's perfectly communicated, but I guess it's also... that's something I feel like I could have gotten earlier. So maybe other people don't really have a problem seeing what the point was with this. But yeah, finally, now it clicked.
That came in like in one of the last few weeks of development.
Yeah. Also, it needed something to reflect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the idea was that the overloading of this event had kind of destroyed all lights. Or light sources, electronics, things in this area. So why would something illuminate and reflect in the shadows? And yeah, there was a lot of things.
What is that?
But yeah, you get to walk around a bit in the darkness to get to really see that. Okay, the shadows are back to normal, and you can walk in them. But of course, as also explained by the VOs, is it before or later? I don't know. But it only fixes the shadows locally.
Yeah, that's before.
So you'll encounter a limit to where the shadows suddenly become dangerous again.
And that was also
So that's the weird thing. Like, why would it fix the shadows locally when it's still in the local area of the main core? That's my main point.
challenge to do, like
Yeah.
technically, but we managed.
Yes.
And like the biggest fear was also that when you the player gets to that border where the shadows are good again, that that there's emphasis on the floor. So
Yep.
At this moment we actually turn up the brightness of the shadow reflections to maximum, like to really show that they stop and start. And also we added a bunch of particle effects that
So is this like extra reflective shadow? This is not what shadows normally look like in the game. It's just in this area just to show you that these are good shadows, these are bad.
like this wall of bubbles.
Whoops.
Yeah.
And
also sound. We emphasized it also with the sound. The shadows they don't really have sound normally in the game, but at this point we put in sound just to make sure that the player understands that the shadows are starting again, the shadow anomaly.
I kind of see it as a battle between the evil shadows and the good shadows, and it's the battle that you hear.
Yeah. And also, to start up the level, we have a piece of music that makes some suspense for the player, so he actually knows before he's there that something different is going to happen here. So it's more a droney suspense-like music piece that is starting the level.
which also fits the tone of what Ellen says in the beginning of
Exactly.
the level.
Yeah. And after the core is shut down for the local core, and after you wake up, you also have this. It's the sound changes there, and you have this crystal-like sound. It's kind of you're in a dream world, and you can now walk on shadows. So you kind of know that way that there's something
changed.
Something changed, yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of the problem, though, because of the sound design and it being like all dreamlike and weird. I thought it was like I had something happen to me so that now I can like be in shadows and be fine. Not that it was like, I don't know, it felt like it gave more of a magical, like mystical feeling, like something had changed, not something had been restored to what it normally should be. So I almost feel like the sound design might have gone the wrong way in that sense, But I don't know. Again, maybe other people found that completely understandable instantly, but I thought this felt pretty weird, and I didn't really understand what was happening until they're now explaining it.
Yeah. And also, a bit of a fun fact is that Virgil was supposed to say a whole lot more in this level, like the fact that the player is turning on these extra mothers and getting rid of the side effects. Earlier, it made Virgil very panicky, and he started telling the truth about certain things that, the hair loss is actually the early side effects of the shadows and all that. And we just, after we had it in the game, we just felt that it became a little too much like forced exposition that David would say that. Virgil would say that. So we instead had that dialogue as a part of Ellen's discoveries and her revelations and learning about what's going on. Also, it made for a bit more mystery in her storyline and overall for the game by doing that.
Alright, well, I mean, I've already cut in and said what I wanted to say during this, so nothing much to say here at the end, which is good because this has already gone on long enough. So I'm just gonna leave it off here, and we'll just continue next time. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, I'll see you then. Bye bye!